check everyone can hear me. This is the review of the year for 1st of July 2015 to 30th of June 2016. First of all, I want to go through the charity aims. The aims of the charity are to increase awareness of facial palsy and its social, physical and psychological consequences, to improve the physical and emotional health of adults and children with facial palsy, to promote diagnosis, acute and long-term management and rehabilitation of people with facial palsy. The focus of our work for the year 2015-16 has been that we are continuing to provide support via email and telephone as per previous years. We also provide support via our Help Unlocked forum and social media. Can I just check that everyone can hear me at the back? We received an additional £23,000 towards our support services project, which will enable it to continue until February 2018. This funding enabled us to take on Lorraine, who is a counsellor and radiotherapist, and she came to us with experience of caring for patients with facial palsy. As well as taking support inquiries by telephone or email, Lorraine also looks after our volunteers and our 9 local support groups. And on top of all this, she has been busy sending information about the charities to different hospitals and GP surgeries around the UK, although we still have a long way to go with that. We held one family day during the last financial year, although it was followed fairly quickly by another family day. The main aim of the family days is to reduce isolation for children with facial palsy. Many of our volunteers also offer to support others who have been through similar experiences. For example, Selma, who is speaking later, offers support to other mothers who had Bell's palsy in pregnancy. We also continue to raise awareness of facial palsy in the media. We held our second Facial Palsy Awareness Week, which we will talk about later. We've been improving information on our website and creating some self-help guides for people with facial palsy. Previously, we developed information guides for aimed at health professionals, but we need to do a lot more to raise awareness about the needs of our patient group. Living with a facial difference can be difficult enough, but when it is not acknowledged as serious enough for referral to a specialist, or the condition is not explained properly by a health professional, this can have a devastating impact on those affected. And we have a long way to go to improve the current situation. More health professionals joined the charity's medical advisory board, including Richard Irvin, I can never say this, but he's an ENT consultant neurologist at Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Birmingham, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Paolo Maciusi, consultant and plastic reconstructive surgeon at Hull Royal Infirmary. Most importantly of all, we are listening to the people that we set up to support and involving volunteers in projects and making sure that it is a charity for the whole community. Our key successes for the year: we directly supported 598 people via telephone, email, social media, our Help Unlocked forum, family days and support groups. The key outcomes we work to achieve are that people with facial palsy have more confidence and feel less isolated, and that they are more knowledgeable about healthcare options and feel more confident when approaching healthcare professionals for help. We increased our successful outcomes in terms of decreasing isolation and improving confidence, but greater awareness is still needed in the health profession to ensure people have the confidence to ask for the help they need. We launched 2 new support groups in London and Exeter and relaunched our Midlands group, and that will actually be moving back to, it'll be based at Birmingham Hospital, Queen Elizabeth Hospital, from the next group. We received pro bono help from a professional survey company in February 2006 and carried out a facial palsy awareness survey. More details on that to follow. We received 290,000 unique visitors to our website, up 49% on last year. We also increased our number of Facebook likes by 26% and Twitter followers by 23% on the previous year. Our Sussex Family Day was our largest event of this type so far, with 10 families attending, and some of them are in this room. We distributed our general literature to every Scottish hospital with a relevant department to facial palsy. So who contacts us? We now collect more statistics about this. The table gives us the breakdown for the year. You'll see that just over half of all our inquiries come from people with Bell's palsy, plus an additional 6.4% had Bell's in pregnancy. The second cause we're contacted about is facial palsy from birth, which I found quite surprising because I've always thought it was one of the rarer things, but this might be a parent with facial palsy or an adult born with the condition who has contacted us. Where we have logged the cause as not identified, this is where the cause was not discussed with us by the inquirer. We're endeavouring to collect more data about different causes, but obviously still have a long way to go. It would be interesting to know whether we receive fewer inquiries from patients with causes such as tumour-related facial palsy or stroke, because better NHS follow-up care is in place for these patients. Now about our public awareness survey. In February this year, in collaboration with Research Now, a professional survey company, we surveyed 509 members of the general public. The aim of this survey was to understand what the general public know about facial paralysis, their perceptions of the problems associated with the condition, and people's expectations in relation to treatments for facial paralysis. 70% of the 509 people surveyed believed the facial weakness in this picture was caused by a stroke. The ladies actually had Bell's palsy. I mean, we wouldn't expect the general public to know that was Bell's palsy, but it was interesting that everyone, 70% thought it was a stroke, and just 13% identified a possible Bell's palsy. In contrast, only 0.3% of people who contacted the charity for support in the last 12 months had facial palsy due to stroke, compared to 51% with Bell's palsy. Also, 41% of those surveyed considered difficulty smiling to have the least impact and speech difficulties to have the most impact. So the general public didn't really value the smile. We compared to a recent separate survey of people with facial palsy who said difficulty smiling and the effect on self-confidence have the most impact, and speech and eating difficulties have the least impact. This demonstrated that the value of a smile is underestimated, perhaps because it is mostly a subconscious act that we don't think about. Most people are unaware that the majority of our communication, 70%, happens in non-verbal channels compared to 30% from actual words. Also, 97% of the general public surveyed believed that treatments for facial palsy should be routinely available on the NHS. 60% believe physiotherapy can help people with facial palsy, yet there is insufficient research in this area. It is not routinely offered. Now, about supporting children. This picture was taken at our Sussex Family Day in June, which 10 families attended. Feedback was very positive, with one parent saying how it particularly helped them speaking to our adult volunteers who were born with facial palsy. Most of the parents and children exchanged contact details, and the older children are beginning to develop their own support network outside of these events. We also set up a private Facebook parents and carers group for those looking after children with facial palsy. This group now has 55 members and gives parents the opportunity to talk to other parents experiencing similar situations. Also, with Gareth Price agreeing to be a trustee, we now have a parent of a child with facial palsy on our governing board, which is a really positive step forward for families. These are more pictures from our Sussex Family Day. One of the key aims with these events is to ensure that children and parents have plenty of opportunity to talk to each other. One of the difficulties with larger venues where the general public are also attending is that people can split up and end up not spending time with other families. But using a smaller venue means that sometimes there is not enough to keep the children amused. We speak to the Brain Tumour charity regularly, who run similar events for children, and exchange recommendations for venues. Family days with organised activities and play leaders tend to work better because it gives parents a chance to talk and share experiences while the children are enjoying themselves making new friends. Children with facial palsy attending our family days range in age from babies to teenagers. Our volunteers are a really important part of our family day because they show the children that they are not the only ones and they can answer questions that parents may have. Last summer, we joined forces with charity Changing Faces for the Serve Alex campaign. Alex is just down here. He also spoke at our last AGM about the situation he found himself in July 2015. He tried to buy a pint at a pub in Falmouth and was refused service because they mistakenly thought he had had too much to drink. Alex has Meavis syndrome, which causes bilateral facial paralysis. Changing Faces decided to take Alex on a 300-mile pub crawl. He didn't drink on the pub crawl. Raising awareness, calling at pubs in Coventry, Worcester, Bristol, Exeter, Bodmin, Truro and Falmouth. Facial Palsy UK, because I happened to be on holiday in Falmouth that week anyway, so we took part in TV and radio interviews for the South West to support the campaign. £1,170 was raised, which Changing Faces have used in conjunction with us to develop new guidelines for licensees and door staff on dealing with unusual looking faces. With the website, we continue to improve information on our website throughout the year for people with facial palsy. Vanessa Venables, who is also here today as trustee, and Katrina Neville created 2 self-help DVDs with tips for when the face is floppy and when it becomes tight due to synchronesis. Their colleague Beth Jordan has also created an audio recording calming practice for the face and neck. These are available on our website or in DVD format. With the help of the Medical Advisory Board, we have also been improving our surgery and causes pages on the website, although there is obviously a great deal more work to be done. Raising awareness. With our limited resources, PR and raising awareness is really challenging. We have now established a good relationship with 2 trustworthy journalists and have achieved good articles this year which raise awareness of the condition and the support the charity offers. 2 television interviews raised awareness of the condition and the work the charity does. Northampton Town Football Club, with little help from young supporter Abby, who was supposed to be here today but she's got an ear infection, unfortunately, chose us as one of their official charities. We held our 2nd Facial Palsy Awareness Week. We distributed charity leaflets not only in Scotland but also in some parts of England. And we also held a designer Christmas card competition. The cards have recently been printed and are available to purchase today. Now we come to our fundraising review. Individual fundraisers have once again contributed significantly to our income, for which we are extremely grateful. They raised £36,000 over the year, up by 27% from the previous year, and 44% of this was raised during Facial Palsy Awareness Week. Direct debit and standing order income for the year increased by 39%. That's really helpful. Small regular donations make a big difference to us because they mean we can actually plan our activities more easily because we know that money is coming in. Supporters raised £466 through the Give As You Live shopping scheme. That's a 116% increase on the previous year. This is where shops give the charity a small amount of money every time someone purchases from their website via Give As You Live. It doesn't cost the supporter anything at all, so it's money for nothing. So it's well worth doing. We also in February received a large gift from the Handsome Marriott Rousing Charitable Trust of £25,000, and this made a huge difference. In total, we received £27,100 from Trust during the year that is not restricted to a specific project. We received £1,500 from corporates during the year. Excluding the £25,000 gift, our total income from donations and fundraising decreased slightly by 1.9% compared to the previous year. So fundraisers, as with previous years, have made a vital contribution to the financial health of the charity this year. We received pro bono support from JGR Business Bureau Service, who manage our payroll for us, and also Research Now, who helped us with our public awareness survey. We are extremely grateful for this support. Restricted funds are income received which can only be spent on a specific project. The Worshipful Company of Grocers gifted £5,000 towards our research appeal. The Nationwide Building Society Citizens Champion Scheme awarded us £804 towards our Conkers Family Day, which took place in July 2016. The RAIN Foundation gifted us just under £16,000 to continue with our support services project. Marathons, 8 runners took part in the Great North Run in September 2015, including Medical Advisory Board member Omar Ahmed. Megan and Abby, daughters of runner Andrew Telfer, also took part in the Great North Run family events and raised funds for Facial Palsy UK. We've applied for places for next year's event and should hear shortly whether we've been successful. 2 runners took part in the Brighton Marathon in April, raising funds for the charity, Rob Green and Anthony Curtis. We haven't purchased places next year for the next Brighton Marathon because there's been such a lack of interest in that event, and also you can buy the event places direct if you want to, if you'd still like to run for the charity. Also in April, Toby Fisher took part in the London Marathon. We did have 3 runners entered, but unfortunately 2 had to pull out due to ill health. But their places will roll over to the next year, so any fundraising they did, they've still got to run it. We thank them all for their dedication to both training and fundraising. Taking part in the marathons is also a great way of raising awareness for the charity. So a big thank you from all of us. We would also like to thank the volunteers who help at these events. When I say they've still got to run it, obviously if they've got a broken leg, they're not going to run it. Facial Palsy Awareness Week was first launched by the charity in March 2015, and it will take place every year during the first week of March. It is a global event with people affected by facial palsy from all over the world getting involved. People's Stories and Awareness Week fundraising activities were featured in local press, and an article was also published by the Chartered Society of Physiotherapy. The Palmiable Workplace Equality Network agreed to hold a facial palsy awareness event on 2nd of March. There were also plenty of fundraising activities taking place throughout the week. People chose different ways to raise awareness and get a conversation started about facial palsy. You can see our chair of our trustees just in the picture there, shave half his hair off. We used the hashtags #SpaceMyDay, StraightFace and Unique Smiles on social media to encourage participation. People used Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube to share their stories. So, as well as Charles shaving half his hair off, the aim was to get people to ask him, well, why are you doing that? Then he can talk about the facial palsy. So, also there was a photographer with bilateral facial palsy who liked the hashtag #StraightFace. He shared some of the difficulties he has, which go relatively unnoticed by others. We also tweeted throughout the week about the different causes of facial palsy and shared our infographic which summarised the results of the survey. This can be seen on our display boards over there. The aim of the Palmiable Workplace Equality Network event on March the 2nd was to help people understand more about facial palsy and also how they may help someone diagnosed with the condition. The event was held in the River Room in the House of Lords by kind permission of the Lord Speaker, pictured here with event organiser Philippa Tudor and Facial Palsy UK trustee Vanessa Venables. One of our volunteers was also invited to attend, but unfortunately couldn't. So as many people was involved as possible. Thank you, Philippa. She's not here today, but thank you for organising the event. As an introduction, the Lord Speaker read a poem written by our volunteer Sherry, which is also on our display across the room, and Sherry's sitting over there, she's here today. This is an example of an overseas activity for Awareness Week. April's mother posted this on our Facebook page. This is my daughter April, she's 11 years old. We live in Alabama, USA. She was born with facial palsy on the left side. This year, for Facial Palsy Awareness Week, she wanted to spread awareness about some of the things she and others experience. She wanted to hand out something useful to get her message out, so she came up with the idea of a bookmark. So with the help of a dear friend, she brought April's idea to life. We thought this was a really clever idea. Also, during the week, people organised bake sales, quiz nights, mountain climbing and more. We also sold Facial Palsy Awareness Week t-shirts. Northampton Town Football Club featured Awareness Week in their matchday programme, and Abby Callan organised a bucket collection at the match and then a quiz night in the evening. There's a couple of our physiotherapists as well in the pictures, one of them's here today. 120 people, amazingly, took part in a Ben Lomond climb during Awareness Week. This was organised by Cheryl with the help of work colleagues from Barclays, Glasgow and friends. There's a video on YouTube of the event which looked amazing. I wanted to explain a little about the impact of Facial Palsy Awareness Week and how one activity can lead to another. Freya, who is just 17 and was born with facial palsy, decided she wanted to do an event at her college. She decorated a stall on 1st of March and invited students to Face My Day. This involved having half their face painted in return for a small donation. Her local newspaper then decided to write an article about the event. And on 11th of March, Freya received a letter from her local MP, Ben Howlett, who had seen the article in the Bath Chronicle. He offered to support and assist with future campaigns Freya takes part in. Freya's story was then picked up by BBC Radio Somerset and BBC Television Somerset. She was also invited to Prime Minister's Questions by Ben Howlett, which was very exciting for her. Freya said about Awareness Week, "It has helped a lot with my self-esteem, because as soon as Ben Howlett sent me a letter in the post, I was amazed that someone from the Houses of Parliament had taken the time to look at the raising awareness tasks I did. When I went to the Prime Minister's Questions, it was an amazing opportunity to actually be there and watch such an important debate. It made me feel really proud of how far I've come in a little amount of time." With funds raised, the main aim of Facial Palsy Awareness Week is to do that, just to raise awareness. Fundraising activities during this week, we do provide a huge boost to the charity though. This year, fundraising from Awareness Week activities was nearly £16,000, which is 44% of our total fundraising income for the year. We wish to thank every single person and organisation who has supported Facial Palsy UK in any way throughout the year. Every gift is used carefully to improve the lives of people affected by facial palsy. Volunteers are integral to our success, and we thank each and every one of you. Our volunteers help run local support groups, help raise much needed funds, provide back office support, report on and photograph events, raise awareness in the media, help us with events, assist with research and provide feedback, and motivate friends and family to get involved and champion our cause. Now for our financial review for the year ending 30th of June 2016. Total unrestricted income from donations and fundraising decreased by 1.9% to £52,601. We've excluded £25,000 from this figure for comparison purposes, because otherwise we're obviously probably not, well we might do, but we're not going to get £25,000 every year as a one-off donation. Unrestricted expenditure decreased by 1.4% to £53,623, so that also remains fairly constant. We haven't increased our expenditure. Our principal funding sources came from individual fundraisers, 36,000, trusts 22,000, and major donors 27,500, with the rest of our income made up from general donations, merchandise sales, event income, affiliate scheme income, payroll giving and regular giving via direct debit. As a very young charity, we've not previously been in a position to hold any free reserves and have carefully managed our funds using regularly reviewed cash flow forecasts and budgets. Things have got quite tight in the past. When we received the £25,000 donation in February, we used half of the money to acquire match funding from another trust for our support services project. The remaining £12,500 has been put into a savings account as free reserves. The point of reserves are much the same as savings, to ensure that we can cover our expenditure in the event of difficult times and keep operating. These reserves will cover nearly 3 months of our core expenditure. Now on to future plans. Our strategic plan was reviewed in June 2016 and is available for download from our website. I'll summarise the main areas we are currently working on. We plan to create 3 children's books to support children with facial palsy and children of adults with facial palsy. I'm happy to say that we have enough funds for all 3 books, and a big thank you to Rosie, who is here today. Rosie has been busy fundraising at Leamington Golf Club, and we also have funding from the Yorkshire Building Society, Charitable Foundation, Epsom Rotary Club and general donations. We have enlisted a children's book illustrator who has a child with facial palsy to help us with this project. We are currently reviewing drafts of 2 potential stories and will be approaching families for feedback shortly. So children, we're going to need your help. Our general leaflet has now been updated and we believe it's a more accurate reflection of the work we do and our community. We received a grant in a previous financial year which will enable us to get these leaflets out to more hospitals and GPs around the UK, and this will be undertaken during the coming months. We're currently working on 8 patient leaflets about different causes of facial palsy which GPs and hospitals will be able to download. They will also be available on our website. We received funding from the Hospital Safety Trust recently to undertake this work. We also received funding from the National Lottery, which is enabling us to update our website and make it mobile friendly. This work is currently underway. We're still hoping to put on a facial palsy conference in the not too distant future. We are currently applying for funds to try and get this to go ahead. We're just over £9,000 now towards our research appeal. The original target was to raise £20,000 in order for this to go ahead. We're investigating different options to see if we can achieve the same goals at a lower cost. The aim of the project is to work with patients, carers and health professionals to obtain a top 10 list of research priorities. These would then be put forward to researchers. I want to also say thank you to Isabel and Ethan Price, who completed a 27.5-mile bike ride last weekend for the charity and raised an amazing £1,300 to help pay for another family day. We have also recently received £1,400 from the Barbara Ward Children's Foundation, which is to be used for a London Family Day. I provisionally booked 18th of February, but I need to visit the venue before I confirm. We need to ensure our family days are accessible to as many people as possible, so we'll be surveying families to establish demand for the next event in various locations. The charity is currently collaborating with teams at Nottingham Trent and Coventry University to develop facial remote activity monitoring eyewear. This is wearable technology in the form of glasses that provides real-time facial muscle information to patients and therapists, and it should allow patients to practice their exercises discreetly and without the need to look in a mirror. We also recently received just under £9,000 to be used for GP education. We plan to create GP downloads and training DVDs about facial palsy, covering topics such as diagnosis, holistic patient care and more. We're continuing to develop our support services with a new support group launching in Liverpool. That's going to be headed by Helen, who's put your hand up at the back of the room, on 12th of November. This coming year, we'll be looking at the geographical areas of greatest need around the UK. We know that there's areas that we need to do more work in Wales, for example. And also we need to improve our support for the volunteers who help us run these groups. We completed an expression of interest form to become registered as a charity in Northern Ireland in June 2015. There's a long waiting list. We received confirmation from the Northern Irish Charity Regulator in March 2016 that we can provide services over there while we wait for our registration. So we plan to develop support for people in Northern Ireland as well. We've got many more plans, but in order to survive, we need to improve our funding situation. We are stretched very thinly in terms of resources and really need additional staff. We will be looking at the return on investment of employing a dedicated fundraiser. We also need your ideas for themes for Facial Palsy Awareness Week 2017. We plan to launch the first children's book during Awareness Week and would also like to hear from families who are willing to be featured in the media talking about the need for the book. For a more detailed overview of our plans, please see our annual report, which will be available to download from our website shortly. And before I go on to questions and answers, I don't know whether you want to bring the cheque up. This is Rosie, who's been busy, and she's raised an amazing amount for the children's book. Yeah.
Didn't know that I was going to be saying a few words, but my name's Rosie Skilbeck, and it's a great pleasure to be here today. And already I've learnt a lot more about facial palsy than I ever knew. I was a dentist in my professional life, so I did come across quite a few people with Bell's palsy, but I had no idea that you could be born with facial palsy. I'm afraid I was quite ignorant about that. And it wasn't until our son became involved with cycling a thing and raising money, and asked us to sponsor him, that I knew this charity existed. So it's been a steep learning curve for me. I do understand as well the value of support groups, because we had a daughter who was dyslexic, and until we went to a support group for that, I had no idea really how her confidence had been slashed by not being able to hear very well, not being able to read very well, and not do well at school. So I understand the value of support groups, and I think you're doing an amazing job here. I've learnt so much this morning already. It's wonderful. And so last year I became lady captain at our golf club, and you get an opportunity to choose the charity that you wish to raise some money for. And so I chose facial palsy, and we've managed to, I have to share the fundraising that we did this year with our men's captain. He wanted to choose something else, so we split our fundraising, but we're very delighted that we can present you with a cheque. The cheque is for £7,000, so well.
Oh, we could go and do it again.
Do you want to do the picture again? Does anyone have any questions about my presentation that they want to ask? Might be Charles needs to answer them, but no.
As you can see, and that's amazing, Rosie. Thank you so much. I mean, apart from doing an amazing bit of fundraising, she also gave birth to Chris Skilbeck, who is a fantastic colleague, a talented surgeon who recently been appointed as surgeon at Guy's Hospital in London, and has been doing huge amounts of work for the charity in the background, apart from the fundraising, cycling, helping to write content for the website, editing, as well as doing obviously a very busy full-time job. So thank you for both of you for that. It's amazing. Fundraising obviously is it's vital. It's a lifeblood of the charity, and funding within the health service is a hot topic this now. You know, we are at the moment at a critical point where a lot of funding is being refused for a lot of patients trying to be referred, both by GPs. Commissioning groups are no longer willing to fund certain treatments. Those of you who are receiving, for example, Botox for synkinesis, all of these things are potentially at risk, and unless we can raise awareness of the charity, of the need for facial palsy treatments, of the need for patients in terms of their physical and psychological benefits, I do fear that these things will end up being no longer available. So the work you're doing, amazing. We need to continue, we need to expand it forward, and to keep flying the flag for Facial Palsy UK. The official business of the AGM is now over, so I'd like to say thank you very much for your attention, and let's get to lunch. Thank you.